and welcome to episode 68 of the Noble Character Crafts podcast. My name is Amy, and I am coming to you from eastern Nebraska, where I live with my husband and our 5 children. Today is Friday, May 31st, 2019. Thank you so much for joining me today. A huge welcome to any new or returning viewers. I really hope you enjoy this episode. This is a podcast all about my crafty life, and today I have crocheting, knitting, and hand-dyed yarn to share with you all. You can find me online on Instagram and Etsy at Noble Character Crafts. You can find me on Ravelry at Noble Character, and I also have a group for this podcast in Ravelry under Noble Character Crafts Podcast. In that group, you will be able to find the show notes for this episode as well as previous episodes. You can also get in contact with me through my email at noblecharactercrafts@yahoo.com. And I will have links to all of the places that you can find me in the description box below. On my dress form in the background today, you will see my starting point wrap that is a design by Joji Locatelli, and I knit that in 2017. It was one of the first big knitting projects that I ever made. I remember it being a very daunting project, but I did the mystery knit along that was, initially for that pattern, and it was a really great learning experience. I remember that was also the first project that I ever made with my own hand-dyed yarn. So that is made using 5 of my colorways, Noble Character Crafts yarn on my Radiant base, which is 70% superwash merino, 30% silk, and the 5 colorways that I used are Discover, Bold as a Lion, Choice Silver, Spring Rain, and Deep Waters. So you can certainly check out my Ravelry page for any other information that you would like about that particular project. Before I get started showing what I've been working on this week, I wanted to announce the giveaway winner for the Hanging Rock Designs Volume 2, which is a wonderful design collection by Emma Potter of Potter and Bloom, and she graciously donated a copy of that package of designs to our podcast, and so I had a thread in the Ravelry group. Thank you so much to everyone who entered that giveaway, and I'm happy to announce that with random number generator, the winner for that giveaway is Labrador Essence. Cheryl Lee, congratulations. This is not the first time that you have won a prize. You are a very lucky participant of my giveaways, so congratulations again for winning this wonderful collection of patterns. It is just such a wonderful, I love all of the patterns in this collection, and I hope that you do too, and I hope that you are able to make some or all of them and enjoy them. Again, thank you so much, Emma, for being willing to donate that beautiful design collection to the podcast. I really appreciate it, and I absolutely love all of the patterns in the collection. So if you did not win, please head on over to Potter and Bloom on Ravelry and check out her design. She has quite a few different designs that are all gorgeous, so check them out. I also have another giveaway to announce on this episode, so I'm so excited about that. Hannah of Yarnia Designs recently came out with a beautiful new shawl design called Pear Blossom, and she graciously donated a copy of that shawl to the podcast. Thank you so much, Hannah. If you would like to enter that giveaway, please head on over to the Ravelry group, and I will have a thread in there for this giveaway as well. So please go ahead and enter that, and I will announce the winner for that on the next podcast. So please head on over there if you would be interested in entering to win this beautiful design. And thank you so much, Hannah, for your generous donation. I really appreciate it, and I absolutely love this design. It's so gorgeous. So today I have a few finished objects that I'd like to share with you all. The first one I was able to make within less than 24 hours. So last time I recorded a podcast, I hadn't even started this, and I was able to make this very, very quickly. This it's called a mandala. It is a mandala, but I'm going to be using it for a pot holder. I have a large 10-inch cooking pan that I use quite frequently for one-pan meals, where I can just throw everything into this large pot and it makes a meal for our family. And I use that quite often. And I'm not very fancy, and so I end up usually just taking that pan directly from our stovetop to our table to serve our family. And I usually have to put down 3 different pot holders so that it covers a big enough space for our large pan. And so I thought it would be really handy to have a pot holder that is large enough to fit that pan specifically, since I do use it quite often. So I found this free pattern on Ravelry. It is called the standard 12 round mandala, and it is a design by Marinka Slump. I used up lots of different scraps of cotton yarn, so worsted weight 100% cotton yarn. I'm sure most of it is Peaches and Cream or Lily's Sugar and Cream cotton yarn. It was lots of tiny little scraps. I ended up having a bunch of different scraps in my, collection, and I weighed all of them, and I just started with the one that weighed the least and worked my way up, and I think there was only one round that I got around and I was gonna run out. I remember this hot pink round, I had just like the tiniest bit left, just enough. If I had to do another stitch, I probably wouldn't have been able to make it around. But anyway, I did put pretty detailed notes about how much each round weighed in grams, for me anyway. So, because I am hoping to make more of these using up more scraps, because I just think it's a really fun pattern. It did use a few new techniques to me. I have tried using a magic ring, I think is what it's called for crochet, before, and I didn't have a lot of success with that. So this pattern does call for you to start with a magic ring, and I tried it again and it worked wonderfully. I found a tutorial online, which I will link to in the show notes, that was very helpful for me to be able to figure out how to do the magic ring. Come on in. So I was able to use that tutorial, and that worked really well for me to be able to understand how to make the magic ring the right way, and it worked really well. And then the other new technique that I used for this, which she spells out this is such a beautifully written pattern. It's really quite shocking that it's a free pattern, because she has a very detailed picture tutorial on the free, on the pattern. And it shows you how to do a special stitch when you end the round so that you can join the round without with it having a really smooth transition. You basically just use a darning needle to loop through the stitches, which I think I have done in the past, but I didn't remember how to do that. So it was really good to have that picture tutorial show me how to do that specific stitch, so it makes what she calls a mock stitch. And also each round starts with a standing stitch, which I had never done before, but that was also very easy, and she shows you how to do that as well in the tutorial. So I highly recommend this pattern. It was so much fun to use or to make, and I really love being able to use up the tiniest bit of scraps. So that was really nice. It does kind of bother me when I don't have a lot of control over the colors, because I was just trying to be really random and using the colors as they, like I said, in the, using the least amount first and just continuing on with whatever colors I had in my little stash of scrap cotton yarn. I used a G hook, which is 4.25 millimeter for this project. I think the original pattern calls for a 4 millimeter hook, which I didn't have because my ABCDEF, so my F hook is less than 4 millimeters and my G hook is 4.25 millimeters. So I'm not really sure how you get a 4 millimeter, but maybe it's available in other countries and not in America. I have no idea. But anyway, the G hook worked really well. The original pattern is called the standard 12 round mandala, but I actually did 15 rounds before I added the scalloped border. Like I said, I wanted to use it for that specific pan that I have, so I wanted to make it a little bit larger so that it would fit that pan. Now this pattern could be easily adjusted to many different sizes, and I really would like to make a few more that are probably less than 12 rounds, more of a standard pot holder size, because the original size would be probably, I don't know, it's probably going to be a little bit bigger than a standard pot holder. So anyway, but you could easily just do less rounds and add the scalloped border on if you want to. Of course, you wouldn't have to add the scalloped border either, but I love scalloped borders, and this was a really easy and fun one to add on, and I just think it makes it look so cute. So I really am happy with this project, and it will come in so handy. So it's a very practical project as well for our household. So I'm excited to be able to put that into use. I was also able to finish these Regia ribbed socks that I have been working on for the last month, and I really am happy with how they turned out. I think they're really cute. So I used this Regia all-round color yarn that I was gifted by a viewer of the podcast. She had sent me 2 skeins of this yarn. It is, the colorway number is 4960, and I really enjoyed working with this yarn. I'd never used Regia before, and so I was really excited to try it out, and it's a nice, hardy yarn. I think these will wear really well and last hopefully quite a while. I cast on 64 stitches using a US 1 2.25 millimeter needle. I did a 3x1 rib for the entirety of the sock. I did add 3 stripes up here. They are 2 rounds each. And I used my own yarn, Noble Character Crafts yarn, on my Undyed Lambs colorway on my Pitter Patter base, which is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. And this Regia, by the way, is also 75% virgin wool, 25% polyamide. Fingering weight, of course, for both of these, and I knit quite a long leg like I usually do. That's what I prefer. I did a slip stitch heel flap in the contrast color, and just knit along and did a rounded wedge toe. So they were a very easy and mindless project to work up, and I think that I'll get a lot of use out of them. Since they're a nice neutral color, they'll go with everything, and I am really happy to have these in my collection of socks. Okay, on to works in progress. The first one I have to share with you is in this bag that I made. I showed this off on the last podcast as a finished object. This is the Celtic Knot Felted Purse, which is a pattern by Cindy PILON. And in here I have my stripified shawl, which is a pattern by Stephen West. And I'm very, very close to having this be a finished object as well. But it is so massive that finishing up is still going to take a little while, but I'm pretty confident that I will have this done by the next time that I record a podcast. So it is very massive and has hundreds of stitches on here. I think it's definitely over 700 stitches at this point. And I have my longest cable cord, but it is still very much scrunched up on this cable. I am using all scrap yarn for this project. I had so much purple, different shades of purple in my scrap yarn collection, and I thought it would be fun to work up a shawl in all these beautiful shades of purple, which is my favorite color. So I thought that this pattern would work well with the scraps that I had, and I am very, very happy with how it is turning out. Well, that's the wrong side. Well, it looks beautiful on both sides, but this does look a little bit nicer. Here we go. Okay, last time I recorded a podcast, I was right here where this progress keeper is marking. So I've not made too much progress on the length of it here, only a couple of inches, but there are so many stitches on it that I did put a lot of work into this week. So I actually only have one row of each of the colors that I'm working with left, and then the bind off, and I'll be completed with this project. So I'm very excited about that. I have absolutely loved making this project. There are so many different patterns and textures, and of course you're switching your color every row, so as you're striping the different colors in. So it just keeps your interest throughout the whole thing. There's a couple of sections of brioche, there's a couple of sections of seed stitch, there's a couple of sections of lace. So anyway, it's just wonderful. I really am enjoying this bottom border section. I think it's really fun and pretty. And it's very easy. It's pretty mindless. There's just one row where you're doing a special stitch, and then the rest of the rows are just, garter stitch. So it's working up really nicely, and yeah, I'm very, very close to the finish line, so I'm very excited about that. I'm using the recommended needle size, which is a US 5, I believe. Yes, 3.75 millimeter needles, and all of the needles that I use are Chowhu red lace. So I thought that I was going to have to use some full skeins of yarn to finish off this project, because I thought that the scrap yarn that I had on hand wasn't going to be quite enough, but I think it is. I've been weighing the rows that I've been working up, and I think I'm going to have just enough. I'm not 100% sure about how much yarn it's going to take to do the I-cord bind off, but I'm hoping that I'll have enough, and I do have another skein that I can break into if I need to, but I'm thinking I'll be okay, so I'm excited about that. And I'm, of course, very excited to get it off the needles and then to see actually how massive it is, because I think it's going to be enormous, and I love large shawls, so I'm going to love it. So, and this bag is just working perfectly for it because it is so big, and this bag is nice and roomy, so it's working out really well. My next work in progress is in this beautiful bag by Tanny Casey, and it has an enamel pin on there from Twill and Print, which is a row counter, and that is coming in very handy for this project. I am making a pattern called Summer Dawn, and it is a design by Andrea Black, and it is a beautiful cardigan pattern, and I am really enjoying working on this. But as I mentioned in the last episode, it is quite it's a little difficult. It's not terribly difficult, but it just takes a lot of attention. You really have to pay attention to what you're doing because there's lots of different things going on at the same time. So, but I have been able to make a bit of progress on here. Here is a beautiful stitch marker from Amanda of Little Bitty Delights. It's an ice cream cone. I think it's so cute and fitting as we're getting into the warmer days here. So that's where I was last time I recorded. I've been able to make a few inches of progress there. I'm getting very anxious to get to the part where I can separate for the sleeves, because I just really like it when you get to that point to make sure. I think that's the best time to make sure that a garment is fitting well, when you get to that point. Right now, you know, I can kind of put it over my shoulders and I think it's looking okay, but once I separate for the sleeves, I think that just gives such a better idea as to the fit of a garment. I am using Hue Loco yarn, and it is in the colorway I Can't Even. I have 2 skeins of it, and I am alternating skeins every other row because there is a little bit of differentiation in those two, but not a lot, and I can't tell. It's not striping at all, I don't think, as I'm alternating skeins. So I really, really love this colorway. I think it's such a fun, colorful colorway, really, but I also think it's going to work with so many of my outfits. I think it's going to be quite neutral, really, even though it has so much color in it, and I think that's so much fun. So there's this beautiful lace along the back, which is working up beautifully, I think. And then there's also a little bit of a lace section up here at the top, but that's already completed. It stopped right here, and so then the rest of it is just stockinette. So this pattern started with a provisional cast on here at the top, and then it's just worked as one piece with these beautiful shoulder increases, which I think are I think they look really neat. And then I just recently learned a new technique for casting on some extra stitches here to the front. And what I did was a knitted on cast on, which I hadn't done before, and then also a purled on cast on the other side. And that, I think, worked pretty well. I can't quite tell how it's looking yet because it's only a few rows after I did that, but I think it's working pretty well. I don't know, there's a little bit of a little gap right there where I had to add in some new stitches, but I'm hoping that it will kind of close up. Maybe I'll put in an extra stitch to close it up if needed, but hopefully it'll work out okay. And I think I'm pretty sure that the button band is knitted as I go, so yeah, it's just done in garter stitch, I believe. So I've only done a few rows of that, so hopefully that will go well as well. I don't think I've ever done that in a pattern before. I've always had to pick up stitches for the button band in the past, so hopefully that will work out well. I'm using the recommended needles for this project as well, which are US 6 4mm needles, and that is for a gauge of 24 stitches to 4 inches. So yeah, I'm really enjoying working on this, but like I've said, it does take some mind power, so I have to make sure that I can knit on it when I can concentrate on it. So, but I am really enjoying it, and I'm excited to have this garment in my wardrobe. My next work in progress is in a me-made project bag that I made using the YouTube tutorial called the Easy Drawstring Bag Tutorial by Erica Arndt. And in here is a shawl that I am knitting for my husband's grandmother. She recently lost her last remaining sibling, her sister, who she was very close to. So this is a prayer shawl for her. So I am making the SALCOMBE shawl, which is a design again by KAANA of YARNIA Designs. And I really, again, backwards. I really love how this is knitting up. It's so pretty, and this is a very, it's just, like I mentioned last week, it's just the perfect design for a prayer shawl because there's a lot of garter stitch in it. So that is just really mindless knitting where I can pray for Chris's grandma as I knit this. So I'm really enjoying it so much. On here is a progress keeper that I made. This was actually a necklace that was my mom's, I believe, from a really, really long time ago, and she gifted it to me, but I was not wearing it very much. I don't wear necklaces very much or any jewelry very much, and so I turned a lot of my necklace charms into progress keepers so that I can enjoy them some more. And as I've said before, it can easily be put back on a chain if I do want to wear it sometime, but I just wanted to get some more use out of it and be able to enjoy it some more. So anyway, that's marking where I was last time I recorded, so I haven't gotten a ton of work done on this, but a little bit, and there's no real rush on getting this done. It is a surprise for my husband's grandma, so she, you know, will be happy to get it, and of course she doesn't really need it in these hot summer months coming up. So I am using 2 of my own hand-dyed yarns. The speckled one is called Sparrow. So this is Noble Character Crafts yarn on my Pitter Patter base, 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. And this just has a real nice, kind of a, just a light brown tannish colored base. And then it is hand painted and speckled with lots of shades of brown and even a bit of charcoal gray. And then the contrast color that I'm using is my Strength colorway. And that is on my Twinkle Toes base, which is 75% superwash merino, 20% nylon, and 5% gold stellina. So it's just this nice deep chocolate brown. And I really think that Chris's grandma is going to like the sparkle in that because she loves wearing glittery, shiny things. She's always dressed so fun and always has, you know, either sequins or beautiful jewelry that is... So I think this sparkle yarn is going to be right up her alley. And she also loves browns and other earth tones, so I think she's really going to enjoy these colors, I hope, anyway. And I am really enjoying working on this so much. I am using the recommended needles for this project as well, US 4 3.5mm needles. And yeah, I'm just really enjoying this so much. It's so pretty, I think. I'm just about ready to start another lace section in that contrast color, so I'm excited to get to that part. And I cast on one more work in progress this week, and it is being held in my Creative Frenzies project bag. And in here, as I mentioned last week, I had wanted to make a shawl for my husband's other grandmother. So the SALCOMBE shawl is for his father's mother, his paternal grandmother, and this is for his maternal grandmother, who is going to be turning 100 in June. So I wanted to make her a shawl for her birthday, and yeah, I'm hoping that she'll really enjoy it. For her birthday party, they specifically said not to give gifts, but I'm just breaking the rules and I'm going to give her a gift anyway. Maybe I won't give it to her at her party. I might give it to her a few days ahead of time or whatever. sometime around her birthday I'll give it to her. If it's done in time. I think it will be though. I am making the KAANA shawl, I think is how you pronounce it. That's what I'm going with. And it is a free pattern by Jennifer Weissman. And I am using, again, my own hand-dyed yarn, Noble Character Crafts yarn, on my Lenora base, which is 100% superwash merino worsted weight. And this is in my Tranquil colorway, which is just a nice tonal light pink. And the first large section of this shawl is just all garter stitch. So it's wonderfully squishy and mindless to work up. And since it's worsted weight, it is working up pretty quickly. So that's nice since I, only have a month to work on it. It's a little less than a month now. So I wanted to make sure it was something that I could actually, that was a doable project for me to get done in time. So I think I have a picture here I can show you. Oh, but it's quite wrinkled in my bag. Oh, it's the KAANA Shawlette, I'm sorry. But there's this beautiful lace detail along the edge, which I think is so beautiful. And I just really like the simplicity, but the beautiful detail along the edge of this pattern. And yeah, I just am happy that I was able to get started on this project for her, and I'm hopeful that it will be done in time. I dyed up 3 hanks of yarn for this project. It does call for 500 and some yards, and each of my worsted weight hanks come with 220 yards. Oh, it says approximately 600 yards. So yeah, I have 3 skeins or hanks of this yarn dyed up, and hopefully that will work out beautifully. This, of course, is just very, very mindless. There's just a kind of an interesting increase. I've never done an increase on a shawl like this before, where you're making 2 extra stitches at the beginning of each row and 1 extra stitch at the end of each row, and you're just doing that same pattern every row. So right now there's not a difference between the front and the back. Both sides are just, exactly the same, and every row is the same, and so it's easily memorized and easy to work up, and I'm really enjoying it. Again, I'm using the recommended needle size for these. Thankfully, all of my projects are on a different needle size. I have one on a 4, one on a 5, one on a 6, and this one is on a 7, 4.5 millimeter needles. So yeah, I'm really, really enjoying this. It's nice and soft and squishy. It's so much fun to have this to work on. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it. And I think that this color, I think she'll really like that, and I think it'll look nice on her. She wears a lot of pink, and so I think that hopefully she will enjoy this color. So yeah, I'm excited about that. Yeah, so that's all of the works in progress that I have worked on this week. I'm really happy about all of them and enjoying all of them so much, and I like the variety that I have, although I've never had 3 shawls on the needles before. But like I said, I should get the stripified shawl done hopefully within the next few days, I'm hoping. So we'll see how long the I-cord bind off takes with 740 stitches, I think it is. The last thing I have to share with you all is a set of yarn from my Etsy shop. Every time I record, I like to share a set of yarn that works well for a project, different colorways that I think work well together. So these are the 3 colors that I chose for this week. I really like how those look together. These are all on my Radiant base, 70% superwash merino and 30% silk, fingering weight. And these 3 colors are Intelligent Heart. This has a nice rosy pink base, and then it has lots of different colors of speckles in there. There's some bright red, some deep plum colors, black speckles, some brown speckles. So it's got a lot of fun color variations in the speckles there where they mix together. And this one is called Vineyard. It is a tonal wine colored burgundy. I really love this, and I really, really want to make a cardigan in this colorway. but there's lots of colorways that I want to make garments in. So, but this is definitely one of my top choices for making a garment in. I really, really love this colorway. And I don't think I've knit with it yet at all. Oh, I did put it in the Southbound Train shawl that I test knitted for Amber Crawley of Maker's Haven, but it's just a little section in there. That shawl has quite a few different colors in it, but that I did use Vineyard in that, but I would like to make something all in this colorway. And then the last colorway is Embrace. And so this is a neutral base, and then it also is speckled with that deep plum again. It's got some brown speckles in there, black speckles. And the brown, as I've said before, kind of breaks into orange a lot. So I really like that colorway as well. And I just thought it worked really well with these other two. I thought this was a fun combination. So as always, all of my colorways are available on all 9 of my bases in my Etsy shop at all times in any quantity that you would possibly need for any project. So please don't hesitate to let me know if you need any help with anything. I'm glad to help any customers, and I love doing custom orders as well. So don't hesitate to contact me if you have any requests or any questions. I'm glad to help with anything you might need. So that's all I have for this week. We have had a great week. The weather has been absolutely gorgeous. We have tried to do a lot of our schoolwork out on the front porch just because we want to enjoy this wonderful weather before it gets too hot. We have had quite a bit of rain again this last week, but that just comes with spring, you know, and it's okay. I really like thunderstorms. My kids don't always like thunderstorms. They get a little scared about them, but they are getting better. They used to get terrified and all rush into my room to sleep on our floor or pile into our bed if they could fit. But lately they haven't. They've been either sleeping through them or just not being as scared, so that's good. But anyway, we have just really enjoyed the weather. The kids have been able to play outside quite a bit, and we have enjoyed bird watching, and I got some flowers for my flower pots and our little area that I have a few plants in around the house. So that's been really nice to be outside and enjoy the outdoors. So I hope you all have had a great week, and I wish you all a great week ahead. If you enjoyed this podcast, please feel free to give me a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel if you would like. I would appreciate that so much. Have a great week. Bye-bye.